All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews. It is Walking Dead time, season 9, episode 14. Yep, it's called Scars. Look, before we jump in, and full spoilers on the episode, before we jump into this, like I've said, I am checked out on this show. Whatever happens, happens. And if it's good, it's good. I'm going to say it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. I'm going to say it's bad. If there's good things in a bad episode, I'm going to say that. If there's bad things in a good episode, I'm going to say that. Or good things in a bad episode. And I don't want anybody to just be turned off immediately. Because like, lately, it just seems like, if you say something like good or bad about a good episode, people think you hate it. It's just, I just don't understand the whole, you're just hearing what you want to hear kind of thing. I watch this show out of, I don't know, kind of a sick obligation at this point, because I don't normally enjoy it, but I can admit when something's good. And tonight's episode was fantastic, fantastic. I really thought that the reasoning, behind the scars was going to be underwhelming, and I was wrong. And I'm happy to be wrong. I'm glad to be wrong. I want this show to be good, and this is one of those episodes that proves that the show can still be great and still be challenging throughout a whole episode, not just, oh, that moment was good, but the rest of it sucked. Oh, and here's some more Henry for you, for good measure. And if you haven't had enough Henry, here's some Lydia, a side of Lydia too. Two of the most boring fucks on TV. But anyway, so I'm happy to be wrong, and I'm glad that there's a good episode. This is probably my second favorite episode of all of season 9. The first one being the Rick departure episode. This is fantastic. It's so let's just jump right in. I mean, this is a part flashback, part present day story. There's a lot of good character building in here. And I'm just going to touch on the very end of this. The masks that those two were wearing look great. I've been talking about it, and I know other people have been talking about the masks, the skin not looking that great. And that lady, man, those two masks looks really good. I mean, yeah, especially the one in the foreground or the up front, that really looked great. And I hope that you'll start seeing some of these. It's already in the can, but hopefully we'll see more and more like really good makeup effects on these guys, so it doesn't look like store-bought, zombie masks. But it's a nitpick. I mean, there's only, you have to be able to see and talk through these things, and it takes a lot of work to make these things. So I'm not trying to complain, and make the hard work that it takes to make these masks, any less. They just look rubbery and cheap, and that's just my opinion. But the rest of this episode, wow. All right, so I'm going to Walker Stalker this year, and I'm officially now going to try to meet that little Judith girl. She's badass in this. That when she's like, that was kick ass. Ratina Wesley's in this. Did not see that coming. In fact, I wasn't sure what this episode was going to be about until I looked at the title of it like about 10 seconds before the episode started, Scars. And I also was worried that they weren't going to have enough time to tell this story in one episode, doing kind of double duty as like, here's a few things going on in the world, having conversations with Negan, having all this present day stuff. I thought that they weren't going to have enough time. But they did a pretty good job. Even though I don't know if I'm the only one that experienced this, but during the part where Ratina Wesley and his character, her name Josie, or I don't remember, and her and Michonne were fighting near the end, there was this weird edit. There's this weird cut that was almost like, there was no fade to black, like quick cut. It just jumped from one thing to another, and next thing I know, Michonne is killing her. I don't know if anybody else experienced that weird jump or what, but anyway. I'm still not, I'm kind of all over the place tonight. All right, so the explanation is Daryl comes to the gates with Henry and Lydia. Michonne makes a deliberate suggestion that Lydia leave. Hey, take your risk and leave. But they won't do that because that would be, the right thing to do. We can't have a bloodbath with the Whisperers if we don't make mistakes. But this is where we get to see that back in the day, right around the time that Rick disappeared and they were looking for him, these other people came to the gate. And that one person, one of the people is played by Bettina Wesley from True Blood, who played Tara on that show. And her and Michonne go way, way back, like really, really good friends, probably best friends, it sounds like. They haven't seen each other for a while, so there was like kind of a rift, it seems, before the end of the world. But now they found each other, and things should be great. But come on, something's rotten in Denmark when that girl comes, she's acting weird. She's acting really weird, and she's kind of making demands, and I don't know, I think everybody's just in kind of this fragile state since Rick is gone, especially Michonne. And so when they go back to where she came from, and you find out that her and this other guy have been helping take care of kids. And I could see where this was headed a mile away. And it made me think of this one mission in Fallout 3, where you go to this little area where there's all these little evil kids. And I made the choice to try to kill them because they were evil, but they would not let me. The game made it impossible for you to take out these kids. You can shoot anything else in this damn game, but you couldn't shoot these kids who were evil. Well, that's kind of what we have here, except these kids were brainwashed more than evil. So they take them in and everything is all hunky-dory until they get ripped off. And you find out that kind of like people used to use kids as as little gangs to mug people back in the turn of the century and stuff, and probably longer than that, And so in this case, they came in and they saw and they took everything and they bailed through the sewers like Ninja Turtles and then took off. But see, they're under the impression that they're being used, and they are being used, but they don't know that the kids are a part of it. And I guess that's a little naive, but I mean, they're kids and we don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it anyway. I'd believe it 100%. I'd be like, those little motherfuckers are in on it. But that's just me. I don't like children that much. They creep me out sometimes, all right? But when they finally catch up to him and you see how bad it's going to get, it's just, that the end of this is going to happen. I mean, they didn't let that baby get eaten in the other episode, but I knew we were going to see some dead kids in this episode. Well, not see, but it implied in off-screen deaths and POV deaths where Michonne's waving the ninja sword around, and I'm glad they didn't show it because honestly, that's just not something we need, especially in this era of school shootings. Seeing children get hacked to pieces by Michonne is probably not something you want to air in prime time, even on cable. I think there's only one show that might get away with that, and that's Game of Thrones. They've shown child death on that show, but I don't know. But that's really messed up, and just showing, hey, this world is changing people. And, people like Negan are finally starting to see the error of their ways. And this was a fantastic episode. And it gives Michonne a chance to explain to Judith what happened, except here's the thing. As Daryl kind of foreshadowed to her, Judith already remembers, and Judith can handle a lot. And they're handling Judith in a way that I really wish they would have tried to handle Henry. But Judith was already an established character, even though she's being played by different actresses throughout the years, or babies. Henry, unfortunately, doesn't get that kind of leeway. He's taking the place of Carl And so it's not even that kid's fault that I can't stand him. It's just the whole thing. But Judith, on the other hand, man, that girl is killing it, and that her version of the character is killing it, and they're writing it in a way that I really like, showing that she is her father's daughter, but also, well, how do you say it? It's like Shane's her real father. I don't know. I don't want to get into a whole that kind of thing, because then it's just way too complicated. But she's learning from what, Rick would have been like, and she's learning from Michonne, and she's learning from Daryl. She's learning all from the right people. I think if she had learned even a little bit more from her dad, that would have been helpful, but well, we're not going to get that. And then they go out to try to help Henry and Lydia and Daryl and Connie get back to Kingdom, which has the fair going on. And that's when you see that later, that the Kingdom has been found by the Whisperers, and things are going to go really badly. And so I think that this is one of those episodes that gets you really excited because, hey, Michonne's ready to open up again and ready to let this whole area and all their communities be brought together again. And it's just going to be all that sweet moment, that sweet, sweet moment, as then they, pull the rug out from under us and watch us scream and cry as the next few people are taken out in the next fight coming. Next week's episode looks pretty crazy as well. We've only got 2 episodes left, and I have not cared for this season. It's not been a lie. It's not something I've been hiding. I think this is this might be my least favorite season. And it's also, clear why I've said that. I just can't handle the Rick thing. I can't handle the comic book changes. I can't handle Carl dying. I am just, I'm not going to call myself a fair weather fan because I've been with this show from the beginning, just like shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where I don't always like everything that goes on there either. But I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Maybe if we can get out of this season on a high note, hopefully maybe by season 10, I'll have come back around to a more positive way of looking at all this. But that being said, this was a top-notch episode of television. And Danai Gurira, if I'm saying her last name right, she deserves some attention for Emmys, because this episode, she really brought it quite a bit. And Daryl's getting better too. Norman Reedus is handling, it seems it's starting to get more natural for him to be the leader of this group. So anyway, that's it. I know this was kind of an all over the place episode, but mostly positive. So anyway, if you liked it, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Otherwise, we'll be back next week for the penultimate episode of the season, which means something nuts is going to happen. Or the build-up to something nuts is going to happen. One of those two. Or maybe a bit of both. Column A, column B. So anyway, this is Robert Smirking Interview saying have a great night, and we will see you next time.